Let Me Lead by Rarity EQM. Ada's 1. A Guide to Dancing. Dancing 101. How to Shake Your Tail. Twilight gave a quiet sigh, looking through the stack pile of books next to her. The library was empty, and although it was a beautiful day in Ponyville, Twilight Sparkle had committed herself to the arduous task of learning how to dance. Not that the books were doing much good. Each one of them held some sort of social magic she hadn't quite managed to put her hoof on. It wasn't like dancing was that hard. It didn't seem hard. So she had no idea why it was. Step left, and then right. Front left to one side, back right to the other side. Turn with your partner, and... Twilight slammed the book shut again and gave a groan. It was 2 days before the Royal Ball in Canterlot, and here she was, trying to figure out the first steps to not looking like a complete dweeb. For all of her studying, though, she didn't have the slightest clue where to begin. She leaned back into her chair, closing her eyes with a sigh of defeat. Impossible. It was no. She would learn. She was extremely good at learning. This was a snap. She opened the book again and started looking through the different diagrams and outlines. Gosh, there were so many hooves at once. How were you supposed to dance with 8 legs twisting around each other? How did ponies keep all of this straight? And this was all supposed to be done to music, in rhythm. Wait, did you keep dancing the same way when the song changed? How were you supposed to find a partner? What if your partner didn't know the same steps as you did? What if they discovered she was a terrible dancer and left her on the floor surrounded by happy couples? What if... Something tapped her on the shoulder. Before Twilight could even ask, she found herself pulled up and out of her chair, and her arms wrapped around a familiar blue mage. Trixie had slipped into the room quietly, and watched her poor purple unicorn struggle with the numerous tomes in front of her. This would not do at all. Trixie, what? Twilight asked, but Trixie simply closed her eyes and shook her head. Her horn gave a spark, and somewhere in the library, music began to play. Shh. Let me lead, she whispered, pulling Twilight up onto her hind legs, her arms extending Twilight's out gracefully, holding one arm to her waist. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, Trixie whispered over the classical music that blared through the library, pulling Twilight in closer and swaying with the sound. She wiggled her hips and twisted Twilight around her, slowly, going step by step so the purple pony might keep up. Really, all Twilight had to do was cling to Trixie and try to follow the steps she took, which was hard, but not nearly as hard as trying to decipher them from a book. This is a waltz. Step, twist, step, twist, Trixie whispered, while Twilight tried to pull away, her ears perky and upright as Trixie started whispering the instructions to her. Hey, hang on! Let me get my notebook! She sputtered, but Trixie didn't let go, still moving with the wriggly unicorn in a slow, graceful turn. Shh, Trixie whispered, pulling Twilight even closer as they slowly danced around the empty library. Slowly, very slowly, the two of them started moving as one. Weaves, bobs, twists, and almost fluid, liquid turns as Trixie repeated the steps over and over and over again. And Twilight finally started to catch on. Twilight soon discovered that she was smiling. She was genuinely smiling. This was fun! She was actually having fun while dancing! Sure, the library wasn't some lavish ballroom filled with people, but really that didn't matter to Twilight. Somewhere, she'd picked up a steady, rhythmic motion that flowed like sweet mathematical equations. A number of flooded steps and confusing footfalls that ranked high on her list of things she'd never thought she'd do. There was some unwritten rule hanging in the air between the two of them. Some clear, invisible line. No talking. No ruining the experience with questions and conversations. The music whispered through the two of them gently, connecting them in graceful dips and long twisting rolls of hips with hooves that brushed against one another, and arms that hugged firmly and held them close together. So close that Trixie could feel Twilight's heartbeat pumping in rhythm with her own. All too soon, the music began to fade, and Trixie pulled away from Twilight, giving the mage a coy grin and a slow bow. Twilight stumbled back, eyes sparkling and mouth agape. "Where did you learn to dance?" she squeaked in amusement, while Trixie flashed a warm grin. "Oh, Trixie learned many things on the road. Dancing is only a small peek at the great and powerful Trixie's talents," Trixie exclaimed. Twilight rolled her eyes, but she couldn't stop smiling nonetheless. "Trixie, will you dance with me at the Canterlot Ball, please? I mean, I know it's a given, but I wanted to ask you formally," she squeaked with a bashful grin. Trixie let her beaming grin widen even further, and she nodded her head toward the purple prodigy. "Trixie is sure something can be worked out, but we'll have to work on your moves if we really want to wow the crowd." Twilight shyly nodded her head, and Trixie swept her back into her arms, holding her against her frame with a soft smile. "Well, all right then. Let me lead," she purred. Twilight gave a giggle. "Wouldn't have it any other way," she squeaked. And so the two of them danced together, far into the night, and at the Canterlot Ball, where they received the award for Best Couple.